is Carolyn Holzman, and I am your host. This is the safe space where we talk all things on the business end of SEO, the people part, from someone who's actually been there on both sides, an independent local business owner, and now a professional SEO. Between some stories and the occasional Google smackdown, there may be some tactical SEO advice, but the short version of confessions is, if you're an SEO doing client SEO, I get you. And if you're a business owner outsourcing your SEO, these episodes are my way to help you understand better how to hold your SEO accountable without micromanaging and hopefully putting a human face on SEO for you and agreeing that it is hard to feel comfortable talking about SEO. So instead, I'm suggesting you let yourself off the hook of expecting yourself to know as much or more about SEO than the SEO you hired. Welcome back. This is Season 2, Episode 5 of Confessions of an SEO. Now, last week's episode on LSI, I think I called it When SEOs Fight, over the use of a specific word. It got a lot of listens, so thank you. And I'm curious if any of you have had second thoughts about using that word or not, because I will admit, I do have a moment like right before it comes out of my mouth, not because I think LSI is a worthless SEO concept, but more because I'm a little more hardwired to try to be of help and not reflexively confrontational out of the box. So again, this entire podcast is intended to be there for both the SEOs and the business owners or managers. So I don't like it when SEOs fight over stupid things that only serve to confuse business owners as to what's important, because SEO can be confusing enough. So what's on the board for today? Well, I've got a little indexation with a side of a niche with no search volume. Are you ready? Okay, so the indexation testing is expanding for me, what I'm testing for, and I'm toying with an idea of whether or not I'm going to share the expanded part publicly or not. It's possible it may just be with the confession sponsors, and you know who you are. So if you're not currently a sponsor, it's not hard to become one. Just sign up at the $9.99 or higher level. And I also want to let you know that Anchor FM are the ones that host this podcast. They manage the sponsor process, and they only share your first and last name with me. Is that a problem for an SEO? Well, one thing you may not know is that those very close to me sometimes call me Sherlock. If something is out there on you, I'm going to find it. Just the other day, as an example, someone in Facebook, a Facebook group was grousing over a GMB. That's the local business listing, whatever they're calling it now. And it said that it was a plumber, but it was using a local bank address. Well, they posted the image of, now SEOs will know what this is, the local Viking grid. That's a tool that helps you illustrate how far out that listing shows up in local maps, the further you'll get away from the business address location. So it's like a lot of little dots, and they'd either show up red or green. Anyway, I recognized the city from the underlying geographical map, and I found the plumber listing they were talking about. And yeah, it was a bank's URL, and there were a bunch of clearly fake reviews. But if you're looking for a plumber in that city downtown, I think you're going to meet Glenn. Just saying. If you sign up as a sponsor, look for me to reach out to you. And if you don't hear from me, please email confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com so we know the best way to reach you, because I've likely tried every other way. Technically, the indexation project. Well, a funny thing happened, and it involved an expired domain. I had noticed in the website hosting server logs, it was getting a ton of refresh crawls. Now, a refresh crawl is when a bot comes, clearly with a URL in mind and crawls it. And you see these in the server logs when you have domains that they're connected to a hosting account. So now in this situation, there's no content on the domain, but the bots, they keep coming. So I had an idea about how to use this domain. So I put the I I got to, how you can verify through Search Console. And so literally within minutes, I was seeing the entire history of this domain, traffic, index pages, last time of crawl, and clearly when something horrible happened and that traffic that was coming just suddenly vanished. Someone had done a very bad thing. And well, long story short, it's really a cool forensic find. And I'm going to share it in the forensic SEO training class. And what was funny was some SEO friends who I showed the weird stuff to, they were like, I think you found one of the most wickedly black hat burned domains. And before anybody gasps, this entire domain purchase, this was an expired domain, cost me like $8 plus that little fee. So anyway, I'm still left with the idea. It didn't go away because this domain can't be used, but the index detector, or rather the bot detector, has developed something of a pattern. It's like the bots are drunk after the weekend and they call in sick on Monday. I also want to clarify, this is just for new content, okay? If you already have pages that are indexed, chances are high that you're already getting what I call refresh crawls. So what I'm talking about here specifically in this project are the discovery crawls. So if you're pushing out new pages that haven't been published before, these are the ones that are kind of more often than not getting stuck into limbo, where it says discovered, not crawled, crawled, not indexed. If you're curious, you can see all my test data publicly. All you have to do is search for Google Index Detector, and it's the first result. I'm focusing on the limbo part. What can take them out of there, and how long does it take? And that's where I'm leaving this topic. Okay. All right. Now on to the concept of keyword research. Is it really a thing, or is it just something we made up to bill a new client? Because they're thinking that. So there's a couple of things. And while this is not going to be everything, I'm not writing a thesis here, but SEOs often use the process of keyword research to assist a business owner to think more strategically about their choice of keywords or the phrases. Sometimes it's more than one word, but the phrases that normal people use to either solve a problem they have or get something they really want. Most businesses focus on what they are. For example, plumber New Rochelle. Extra points if you know what TV show that's from. What if more people were looking for hot water repair or hot water heater repair, whatever in your area of the country, whatever they call it. Now, by going through this exercise, you as a business owner have an opportunity to play an important and active part in all the effort that it's going to take to build a more full representation in Google by looking at the problems you solved. Now, going through and doing this keyword examination, that shouldn't be for free. To quote Heath Ledger's Joker, if you're really good at something, you should never do it for free. Most SEOs want to walk you through that process, even if they aren't describing it in exactly that same way. Last season, I did an episode that was based on a question from a Facebook group. A business owner asked, where are these keywords coming from and how do I know they're good for what I do? Now, that's the kind of question a business owner is going to ask if you as the SEO haven't addressed where you're getting them from. Go ahead and tell them. Normally you can find out how many searches are done every month for a certain term. Either you look in Google Keyword Planner or Bing or some other third-party tool like Keywords Everywhere. I would advise you, don't believe every zero you see in the Keyword Planner or any of the other tools. If it is something Google has suggested, then you better damn well believe there's search volume behind it. And if the numbers are zero, likely Google may be choosing not to share that with you. Now, I know this will come as a shock to most business owners because they really, really, really believe that Google is 100% transparent. They believe in the strictest sense of the word, and they make a literal interpretation from anything from John Mueller. Now, you don't know who he is, he works at Google and he has these webmaster office hours. So where am I going with this? I found a niche, and it's literally on the news every day and likely something you may have already chatted about today with a friend. It's hot. And you know what isn't? The Google search volume for anything topically related to it. In this niche, with the exception of very broad terms, the search volume for related activities is 0. Big, fat goose egg. So I went over to Bing and I asked Bing in their keyword planner, how much volume do you have for this phrase? It's really common knowledge in the SEO world for sure that hardly anyone searches on Bing. Now there are some, and it is growing, so I wouldn't sneeze at it, but it's definitely less. So Bing shows a lot more search volume for this niche, and I'm likely to believe that for some of the terms that Bing says are 0, that may be accurate for Bing. So this super hot industry has search volume numbers in Bing. If you were to go from Bing to Google, you would not be crazy to expect to see 2 times or even 3 times or more the amount of Bing search volume. But in Google, it's crickets. So I call BS. I think without numbers, Google can build a more receptive paid ad prospect, because when these companies really don't know how to optimize, they're shooting in the dark. It was by not having numbers that got me to thinking about how much we rely on having numbers, because, my thought would be, well, what do they tell us? So here's a couple of things I thought of. First, it does help to prioritize which keywords to start with. Now, I don't want to only be working on monster keywords that might take a year or more to catch up on the SEO work done by your competitors. You're the one that waited so long to get started, and I'm the one you're more likely to blame that it's taking so long. So, no way for me. Second, you can target a lot of smaller search volume keywords that when you add all the numbers up for all of them together, it might be closer to that one 800-pound gorilla keyword that all your competitors are fighting over. So while you're over here scooping up the smaller, less perfect keywords to build a strong foundation, all of which will eventually help you to really compete for that 800-pound keyword. And thirdly, the numbers help me know the level of competition. Now you can look for all the other sites, who are attempting to optimize for whatever term that you're trying for. And I've noticed that search volume numbers kind of track with that level of competition. So seeing a relative volume of search kind of helps to more quickly assess what level of work will be needed for success. Now, either way, there's a path to getting answers for all these questions with or without search volume. And the really pleasant surprise is that the actual search volume is typically a lot higher than what Google even told you that it was. So in this case, of the niche with no search volume, it really is true. You never know what you got till it's gone. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for being a listener. A special thank you to the sponsors of Confessions. Sitting here in my office talking to myself, it just feels nice knowing you're out there. And if becoming a sponsor of Confessions is something you want to do, we'll go right over to your computer and search for Confessions of an SEO Sponsor. Or just go to the sponsor link. I'll spell it for you. It's one of those short ones. bit.ly/Confessions Sponsor. All one word with 2 S's in the middle. Again, that's bit.ly/Confessions Sponsor, all one word. And Confessions is everywhere podcasts are available. If you haven't settled on one source, you can just Google Confessions of an SEO. You can't miss it. And remember, all of us stand to make more business and success together when both the SEOs and the business owners understand each other better. It's been my pleasure to be your host, and I'll see you in the service.